Hello and welcome to my tutorial or demonstration of how to create and draw repeating patterns using just a pencil and paper, and how you can then turn this into a painted pattern. You'll see me showing off some fabric here. These designs use various different types of repeat: basic, half drop, half brick and ditzy. I bought these fabrics from spoonflower.com, where I like to design and sell my own fabrics. I often enter their design competitions too. The bumblebee pencil case, crown, fruit and Adventure Time fabrics are all my own designs. Today I'd like to show you a method I use to design a basic repeating pattern. You'll need some paper. It doesn't need to be square, but I'll be making mine square. For this example, I'll fold the paper into 4 quarters first, but you'll see it isn't necessary to do this at the start. I'm going to mark each quarter A, B, C, D, just for clarity. I'm going to sketch out a mushroom design. I'll keep my drawing in the centre of the paper to begin, without any elements going off the edges. My light has just run out of battery, so please excuse the change of lighting. Now my main motif is drawn, I cut along my folds into quarters. Now I move pieces B and D to the left. Now pieces B and A to the bottom. This effectively pushes our mushroom design to the outer corners of our paper space. We find that there's more space to draw in. If you just imagine your design repeated, it can be hard to visualize any empty areas that might look bad in advance. This technique helps you to view your design from various different points, and it can help you to flesh out the design before making it digital, if that's your goal. Now I've created another mushroom drawing, I move pieces C and A to the left, and I find another empty space. I keep shuffling my pieces, it's like a puzzle. I check how the design looks in each combination, and I add more where I feel it's needed until I'm happy with it. Now I'll just show you quickly this example of a design I created for a competition. I've digitally drawn a mock-up of my climbing vines pattern and then traced it onto watercolour paper to be painted traditionally. I then scanned it back into Photoshop and I made it seamlessly repeat with some painted insects added in too. I'll show you one more example of layering up design elements before I begin the final design for today. On a square paper sheet again, I decided to recreate my Adventure Time pattern in a way. If you want to create a fairly organic looking overlapping design with lots of different elements, this method is useful too. Unlike the mushroom pattern, which has no real overlap of the motifs, we'll try to have a fully overlapping design. It will look a bit like a crowd. You'll see I start my design in the middle of the page before I cut it into quarters. Once the pieces are rearranged, I use masking tape to secure them while I sketch. I stick it to my arm or my clothes first to reduce the tackiness of the tape. I'm just adding in each character loosely, without any plan, to be honest, but you can see they're all kind of evenly spaced out. There are lots of smaller characters that can be used to fill in any gaps. If you haven't watched Adventure Time yet, I do recommend it. Even though the main story has ended, there are currently some hour-long specials being released, and I can't wait to see them all. Here we go. Our 4 main possible arrangements: Marceline, Simon, Finn, and Bimo. I couldn't resist adding some ink to this design before moving on. You could of course trace your pattern and redraw it neatly, which I will show you shortly. Here they all are again. You could try this with your favourite show. Now, I'll move on to my final example for today. I wanted to create something a little more evenly structured, regularly spaced, but still organic. So I'm sketching out feather shapes that are overlapping like scales. I haven't measured them out, but I've tried to judge the length of them so the repeat would work from top to bottom. I cut up my design as before and I use tape to hold it together while I adjust my shapes. Now it looks good to me, so I get out my light box and a sheet of Bristol board paper. I mark the corners, but I don't fully outline the design. I trace over my sketch and I extend the lines slightly in each direction. This is because when I tidy up my design digitally, it will be easier for me to crop off any extra than it would be to fill in any white gaps. Here's my traced design. Now, I use a waterproof pen to render it nicely before I paint it. It's a Mitsubishi Unipin fine line pen with a brush tip. It's new to me, but I love it. I've erased my pencil lines and taped down my paper. I'm ready to colour my design using these Schminke watercolour paints. I'm terrible at choosing nice colour schemes, but I was happy to go with a bright mix of yellow, pink, green and blue. It's very cheerful. I tried to balance out the colours so there weren't two feathers of the same colour side by side, and remembering to paint the halves or quarters of the feathers that wrap around the edges, make sure they're the same colour. Once it's dried, I added some flicks of colour and I added some deeper colour where the feathers overlap. Once it was fully dry, I used my white Posca paint marker to draw in some highlights, and I've added dots too, just for added texture. Here is my finished design. I'm going to leave it here for today, but please join me for the second part to see how we can take this painting into Photoshop and use some pretty basic tools to tidy it up and end up with a truly seamless design. I will also demonstrate how to create a fully digital repeat pattern in a similar fashion from scratch. I'll upload the designs onto Spoonflower and I'll show you some of the awesome ways you could use your own custom designs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye!